It has been 588 days since Chris was placed in custody, 62 days since the last known communication with Chris, and 6 days since the last time Chris received a continuance, because of course that keeps happening. Hello, my name is GiBi, and this video is going to be a follow-up to my previous video where we talked about how a Redditor claimed to have visited Chris in jail. If you remember that video, there was supposedly a letter that Chris had sent this person or this person's friend, giving them permission to come and visit him in jail. Upon close inspection of the letter, there was a lot of inconsistencies with Chris's handwriting. The guy who visited him also drew an image of Chris that you can see here. He apparently sketched this with his pencil while talking to Chris. Well, it seems that we now have some confirmation that that visit did not happen. With that said, this counter-evidence is itself controversial. Kiwi Farms user M.Archivist emailed the Praetors, who, if you remember, are the people who are in contact with Chris and selling his jail artwork. So as far as we know, they're the only people still in contact with Chris, because nobody else is leaking their correspondence with him. M.Archivist reached out to the Praetors, and this is their email correspondence, which he has posted on the Kiwi Farm, so we're going to read through this now. M.Archivist asks, "Hey, what's the new listing? Keep in mind that the Praetors run Chris's Etsy page." The Praetors said, "Etsy removed our signed tasers. If you'd like an image, you can easily find them on YouTube as the channel Super Mega Unboxed one. Chris has autographed each, and they are all fully functional." Archivist replies, "Alright, thanks. Also, if you don't mind me asking, have you heard from Chris since November? And can you confirm or deny that Helberg sent out cease and desists?" Helberg, of course, being Chris's lawyer, and November was chosen because that's the last time we heard from Chris in letter form. Praetor replies, "Chris calls twice a week to deal with the store, as no listings are made without his express oversight. Take note that they are referring to Chris with male pronouns. As for the cease and desists, we just advise that folks stay out of any trouble. Chris's cash has been accumulating, as the money he gets from both the store and monthly disability hasn't been touched while incarcerated. This second coming he keeps mentioning seems to also include goals to put Helberg on retainer and sue a couple of choice folks." Archivist responds, "Has he ever mentioned the purported jail visit from January?" To which Praetor replies, "Christine doesn't receive visitors. Both the lack of recent letters and having no visitors is intentional, as Helberg advised us to close any way for ill-meaning folk to get close. A note is that any visitors that come would have made notice of the fact that Chris has a beard. Lack of hormone or razor access has let him grow it out. He shaves it only when allowed and under supervision, as is CVRJ policy." So obviously, I am not a lawyer. I don't necessarily know what is normal and what isn't in the Virginia court of law, but what doesn't sit right with me is when Praetor says, "Helberg advised us to close any way for ill-meaning folk to get close." I don't know what the Praetor means by us. If he means them and Chris, if Chris is included in that us, then that's fine, that makes sense. Chris wouldn't respond to letters or let anyone visit him. But it makes no sense that Helberg would advise the Praetors to not let people send Chris letters or visit him. That is obviously not something that they have control over. They're not Chris's legal guardians, they're not his attorney, obviously Helberg is his attorney. And if Helberg is in correspondence with them, these people whose only real interaction with Chris is selling his stuff online, then theoretically he would also be in touch with other people, other legitimate activists, people who are trying to help Chris or people who are trying to get money for Chris. And none of them have spoken up. Archivist continues by saying, "Thank you for being so receptive. Last question, if that's alright. When would you guess Chris will return to the internet given what you know now? I understand you probably don't have any super accurate predictions, but when would you infer?" Praetor responded, "We won't spoil anything, but a return is inevitable. Christine will be back in a matter of months, with plans far stranger than anybody could guess. He has a long time to prepare and has been writing a lot." Once again, the wording here is questionable. The use of the word spoiler is something that Chris does when talking about future events. He acts as if him predicting the future is a spoiler, which is possibly something that he picked up from Doctor Who, or at least memes regarding Doctor Who. And the Praetor saying that Chris has plans far stranger than anyone could guess seems like they're just being tantalizing for no reason. Obviously, I'm not saying that it's impossible that Chris imagines that he'll be free in a matter of months. Obviously, he thought that he would have been free over a year ago. It's not even unlikely that Chris might actually be released in that span of time. It's possible that Hellberg told Chris what his plans are and that they might actually have their appearance in court sometime in, the fall, and then Chris would of course have told the Praetors that even if he's not supposed to. So they might have inside knowledge, but of course, them having inside knowledge is something that they would want to play up. They want to play up that Chris is going to get out soon. They want to play up that they are important and they are the ones who are in correspondence with Chris with these phone calls, that they alone have insight into the going-ons of his communication with his lawyer. Because when they do that, it makes them seem more official. It makes them seem like they are actually the official correspondents with Chris Chan. So while none of this is impossible, I don't think that this necessarily confirms anything. The last email that M. Archivist sends says, "You've been using he. Is Chris identifying as a male again?" To which the Praetors conclude, "Truly, Chris doesn't give a shit either way. The only one out of either Chris or us who remembers what the pronouns are his lawyer. Unless leverage is needed, in which case Chris is a proud woman and always has been." The idea that Chris is no longer keeping track of his pronouns seems very unlikely to me. It's possible that he is using male pronouns when referring to himself as Jesus, and that the Praetors aren't picking up on the switch between these two. That when he's role-playing as Jesus, he's male, and when he's Christine, he's using female pronouns. So once again, I don't think that this confirms anything. It's also questionable whether or not it's real. Obviously, it does not take that much computer know-how to fake a Gmail conversation. The one thing I would like to know, because I'm not well informed on it, is whether or not Chris would still be getting his medication while in jail. If he was actually prescribed hormone medication because he went to a doctor and was diagnosed with dysphoria and so was given female hormones, is that something that they would stop giving him in jail? Because I find that highly unlikely. Although, once again, not a lawyer from the state of Virginia, so if any of you could give me insight into that, that would be fantastic. That is all the updates for now. Thank you for watching, and of course, if you want more Chris Chan news, you can follow me on Twitter at GiBi_Devin, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. And if you're in the mood for more classic Chris Chan shenanigans, I have been releasing a daily upload of YouTube shorts about the past antics of Chris. Thank you for watching.